They said, why are you not afraid? I said, I'm not afraid to fail. They said, what do you mean you're not afraid to fail? I said, you fail as many times as I failed. Success, Lance, would scare me because I have very little success. You know, that don't bother me, failing, because I have failed in so many things. I have broken so many things. I have messed up so many things. Wasn't long ago, I was trying to clean my daggum air conditioner and broke a $1,000 air conditioner. Trying to clean it. Broke a part you can't replace. Go figure that one out. And all I was doing, George was trying to clean it. So, what has God prepared for you, but yet you deny, and why? In other words, God had prepared. Think about this thing. God had prepared Moses. Moses was equipped with everything. Imagine if Moses would have had humility coupled with all of that training. How could he have led? What kind of leader could he have been? Does that make sense? Because the thing is that he was raised and he had an understanding. And I don't know if y'all ever delved into Egypt. I've read in Egypt a lot. And some of the things that they looked at the pyramids and explained the pyramids. That tells you how advanced the Egyptians were. And the Egyptians, their school of thought and how they did things was crazy.
I would just wonder, like, what the school system would be like, how you were upright.
The problem is with that, and if you consider that from that aspect, what could the Israelites been like if they were being led by an Egyptian modeled leader? But see, the problem is they didn't want an Egyptian modeled leader, someone who was prepared, someone who had all the answers. The Israelites needed somebody who was broken, somebody who was humble, someone who realized themselves and said, look, man, I'm a mess up. I'm probably not going to do this right. Matter of fact, I don't even want to be accountable for leading these people out. Because if I've screwed this up, what's the odds of me screwing that up? Because think about it. What was his history? Because you realize it wasn't very much longer after that, after the whole thing, God was getting ready to kill him. And why was God going to kill him? Remember, Moses was walking into a tent, and as he walked into a tent, there the angel of the Lord stood there with a sword drawn. Think about that. And what happened? Why was the angel of the Lord getting ready to kill Moses? Because Moses did not take the time to circumcise his son. Moses was so busy getting millions and millions upon people and their animals and all this stuff. Can you imagine? That would be like, Carrie, you're trying to get all the kids loaded up, Lance and Chase loaded up, you got to get all the dogs going up, and all of a sudden you walk out of there and God is going to kill you because you didn't pray or do something right. Or somebody said, well, how come you didn't get this? At what point would you just blow up and go, are you kidding me? I've got all this other stuff going in my life, and God, you're going to kill me because I ain't cut this boy's thing off yet? That seems insignificant, but was a major offense to the point of where God was going to kill the leader of the people coming out because he did not circumcise his son. If that was a punishable offense, how far would any of us make it out? Because, I'm certain that somewhere within that line of getting 1 million some people, I probably would have said a few choice words. And I probably would have done some things that would probably been worse than not circumcising my son. Maybe Moses was wise in the fact, because the problem is that when God has a calling upon your life and he has set you apart, God says that he holds us to higher standards. The problem is we don't really want the higher standards, do we? Why do we not want the higher standards?
We don't want the response.
We want deniability. Oh, I didn't do this, God. I didn't say this. The problem is that when God has a calling upon us and he puts us in situations, I remember the story in talking to Zeke, and I watched Zeke as he would grow and as he would walk through here. And I remember talking to him when he was down in Florida. And I said, "Hey, come on home." And he said, "Man, I ain't got nothing." I said, "Don't matter. Come on back. Let's get you back down here." And I watched Zeke. Y'all remember when Zeke used to walk around with like crutches and all that stuff? And now he's actually, you know, for a dead guy, he's getting around pretty good. But the thing is that he didn't understand what he was being taken through, but he was preparing you for something. When I was in my lowest, darkest time, do y'all know that somebody came to my house? He called me and said, "Hey man, I'm coming over. I'm going to bring this. I'm going to do that. I've got all this stuff for you. I'm going to pick you up." And he comes over, and not only does he get this stuff, he says, "Oh man, I forgot this. Let me go back and get this, and I'm going to bring this back to you." And not only he comes and brings this stuff back to me. And he says, "Tell me how to do it. Tell me about the whole thing." And so I'm sitting there, and he not only says, man, he didn't just pray for me or say, "Hey man, I hope you feel better," or something like that. He actually brought me tools to get better. But why did he have them tools? Because you went through it. See, God is preparing us to be of use. He's preparing us for a role. But yet, if all we look at is our circumstances, we'll never see the role that's going to be played out. But we'll also never see the blessings that happen around us. So I've got Brad showing up when I can't do it. But David and I was going to try it. All of a sudden, Brad walks up there, and in 25 minutes, he has something that David and I would still be working on. We might by now have the gas. Well, no, I had the gas tank off.
Yeah.
So we was like halfway there. But already he steps up, and he's like, bam, 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 it's off. Next thing I know, it's up there running. I'm like, and I'm walking around thinking, I said, mechanics think differently from us. They're just different. But Lance, I mean, he done it. And I'm like, then he walks over there, and the coil's supposed to be there today, but he walks over and he says, "Well, before you go," because I'm looking to fool with her because I want to give these kids something. He says, "Before you go and spend money, let's check this out." Well, I never thought to check that out. But see, God puts things and people in your life, but he has to put you at a place of vulnerability where he can use you. But if all you say, "God, you're not going to help me. God, why am I sitting here?" and you succumb to all of this, I would have missed all of my blessings downstream. Does that make sense? But where did all these blessings stem from? They stem from the fact, from the decision, Dory, that I made, and I said, I am not going to sit here and rot no more. This is my blessing. My blessing is that God's word said that he shall supply all of my needs. Now, he did not say that he'll supply all of my wants, did he?
No needs.
He said, he said, it shall supply all of your needs. So the thing is that God threw all this thing, but it stemmed from the decision that in my darkest time, I said, "Okay, God." At that point in my mind, I shifted my thinking. I was no longer focused upon how am I going to make money? How am I going to do this? How am I going to look at what I've done? Look at all these things, and all these things are working. I have all this money. All of a sudden it says, "Okay, God, I am going to let you supply my needs. Show me what I can do within reason. There are certain things I can't do no more." And I accept that. I embrace that. But when we shift these thinking in our mind and we stop letting ourselves talk us out of our blessing, but what is the next most important thing that we have to do? We have to stop letting others talk us out of our blessing. How many people do we have around us who are cancerous? And when I say cancerous, they're the Debbie Downers. "Oh, my life this, my life that." What do you do when people are like that? I tell you what you do.
And dust my feet off.
It's kind of like We had a visitor not long ago. We had 2 visitors. And we're sitting on the porch. And all of a sudden, here comes Bailey walking up. Bailey and Jacob. We put the sheets over our head and we pretend like we're not there. It's funny because Jacob, when he walked by, he was looking in like, what was all that about? You didn't even see us? Amber was laying on the day bed. I was in my chair and Bailey gave me this blanket. And every time I think about my daughter, I read the blanket because it's all the sayings that she said towards me. And it's probably my favorite gift she's ever given me because I always think about her. And I was covered up with it. And so you didn't even see us? That's funny and crap. But we're like, okay, we're going to cover ourselves up because, again, everything's in a good mood. But there are going to be people who are going to come around you. Kyle, what do you do when you have people who come around you who attack, who start? If you got somebody who's got corona, now I'm not talking about the beer, then you invite them in, so you got some wine too. I'm talking about you got somebody who got cooties and got a germ. You say, look, you got to go. But yet we let spiritually down people or people who's going to depress us, who's going to bring us down, we let them just greet them and embrace them. Come on in. Because we think that we can fix them.
Call them spiritual strongholds. People you allow into your lives.
Exactly.
Bring them on.
They attach.
They're soul suckers, man.
Exactly. At some point in their life, we've got to take accountability and eliminate the soul suckers in their life. They're vampires. But yet, we still do what? Because again, it's just our nature. We want down because being down is easy to justify everything else we want to do. Think about this thing. I've told y'all 100 times. If you're married and a guy or a woman wants to go out and cheat, they're going to do what? They're going to do what?
Find an excuse.
Find an excuse. If they want to go get drunk or go do whatever they want to do or go hunt or whatever it is they want to do, they will fight. They will pick a fight. Well, they're not Dory. They'll pick a fight to make this happen. What do you do when you see a scenario like that? So look, I know what you want to do, so I'm not even going to fight with you, so go. But here's the sign is what you're walking out the door because you're not in my environment anymore. I have been going through and eliminating people and things in my life that I should have eliminated a long time ago. I should have just eliminated. But yet I keep dragging myself in the past because that's where I like to be. I like to dwell in this. Because it's easy to dwell in the downness story, isn't it? It's easy to dwell in all the depression because it feels all the other modes. What do you do when you're on the upside? Now you got to roll. You got to do these things. And the problem is spiritually. That's why we don't want to be on the upside spiritually. Because God has a requirement for us. He didn't set us up there for us. He set us up there for Him. He's put us in this place to use us. Somewhere along the line, we're going to have to make a choice. How do we want to live? How do you want to live? You're going to have to accept limitations. You're going to accept these things. I am in this situation to where I was down. And I was thinking, Artie, I got looking at different finances and everything, and I was destroyed. I was just so depressed. And all of a sudden, I hear my wife. When Bailey was a young girl, she used to love to watch movies with your mom. Why did you love to watch movies with your mom? You don't remember, do you? I asked you, why did you like it? You said because of how she laughed. You laughed at your mom because how your mom laughed at movies. And I'm sitting there and I'm depressed and I'm going through all these things about all these feelings of all this depression. I'm like, God, I can't deal with this no more. And all of a sudden, Amber's in there watching TV. And if you ever watch TV with Amber, she laughs at commercials. And she does. And the stupider me, if I watch something that's stupid, I'm going to go, that's stupid. I ain't watching that stuff. the stupider the better. And she's in there just laughing, and this is what I heard. This is what I heard. He says, listen. And I listened. He says, does it sound like she's depressed? No. She wasn't depressed. She wasn't going through all these things. She was happy. She was happy with the simple things. He says, I've given you a woman who loves you in the simple things. See, I know my wife loves me. And how do I know this? Because a wife who loves you when you ain't got nothing is a wife who loves you. It's kind of like my favorite story about Artie. He said that he gave Dory access, was it Artie, to a checking account, a savings account, and all that. You basically gave the whole thing because you said that you had nothing. So you just gave her everything.
I trusted her right from the beginning when we got married.
But the point was that you said you had nothing, so you gave her
That's why it didn't bother me. I had to check her mentality against mine. And guess what? I won on that one. She won that
You
one.
exactly did, but the thing is, she loved you and you had nothing.
That's why.
How rare is it? Like I said, a good friend of mine, he's dead now. But I asked him, it's from Lindsay Petroleum Transport. You'll see this truck's running all up and down the freeway. It says LPT on it. That's Tom Lindsay's company. Very wealthy man, Lance. And I asked him, I said, Tom, because I can see a burden on him. I said, Tom, he said, Monty, he said, sometimes I just wish that I knew. I said, what do you wish you knew? He said, do my kids, do my grandkids, does my family love me because of who I am or what I am? He says, I don't know what's real. I don't know who really loves me. Think about that. Not knowing who is your real friend. And when you ain't got nothing and that person is there, they love you. And that's how I know. So I was like, then after I realized, Brad, that my wife, we have nothing, she's in there